11 money traps that you need to avoid in your 30s and 40s. In this video, we're going to run through 11 money traps that you need to avoid in your 30s and 40s if you want to live a good life in retirement and ensure that you are financially free earlier on in life. As you start to reach your 40s, you are probably feeling a bit more comfortable in life. You have a good chunk of your mortgage paid off, hopefully, or paid off altogether, ideally, and you are earning a lot more than you ever have. You're going on nice holidays and doing all the things which make up a successful life. But I'm here to warn you of a few traps that we can all fall into with our current level of comfort, and things that could derail you without you realizing later in life as you head to retirement. What you need to be careful of is having a constantly raising cost of living in your 30s and 40s through lifestyle inflation. It may be that it has crept up on you already, so let's look at the 11 money traps to avoid in your 30s and 40s so you can retire earlier and get on your road to financial freedom quicker. Before we get into the video, please hit that subscribe button and comment "I subscribed" below so I know who is serious about their financial future. Done? Thanks. The first money trap we need to avoid is overspending on the kids. We all love our kids, well, most of the time. This is a trap that I have fallen into on numerous occasions, and I'm sure that every other parent out there has as well. And the trouble is, the more you spend, the more you need to keep spending, as your kids just get used to it, and it ends up in a vicious spending cycle until you're broke, or at least then don't have the money you plan to have in retirement. I get it, we all want to give our kids everything they've ever wanted, or everything we didn't have as a kid ourselves. But as you approach middle age, you need to be thinking about your financial future and not wasting money on your kids, buying them every single thing they ask for. Do your kids really need a brand new luxury car or a brand new iPhone? Treat them now and again, yes, of course, but just be wary of what you're spending on them and consider if that money would be better utilized elsewhere for the financial future of the family. The next money trap to avoid in your 30s and 40s is thinking a state pension is going to cover your expenses in retirement. The number of people who think that a state pension is going to be enough to live on when they retire blows my mind. The state pension will not be enough to live on solely today. Never mind 20 to 30 years from now as inflation rises and the price of goods keeps increasing. What you also need to consider is that a state pension may not be something that is around forever. As governments change and policies change, this could be something which is cut back on or even abolished altogether. Imagine that you're going to rely on a state pension in retirement. Then 5 years before you retire, the government cuts back on state pensions, and they are either dramatically reduced or abolished altogether. Then what are you going to do? The way I look at the state pension is that it is a bonus on top of what you already have in your pension. If you look at it like this, then your retirement is going to be a lot more comfortable. This leads us onto not investing enough in your 30s and 40s. This really applies to your 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. You need to be investing whatever you can each month as early as you can to really harness the power of compound interest. In your 40s, you should really be shoveling as much cash as possible into investments. Get your money invested as early as possible. Like as soon as you start working at 18, start investing 20 to 25% of your salary and getting into the habit early, or you will constantly be playing catch up. Start now if you haven't already, and your future self will thank you. Another mistake which is not directly money related is not caring for your health. As we approach middle age, we all seem to have less time to do anything and rely on convenience foods and neglect training, etc. I'm guilty of this one too. I work too many hours sitting at a computer, and by the time I've finished for the day, my brain is fried, and all I want to do is get home and try to relax with my family. As you get older, it's important to look after your health, because if you don't, this will impact your ability to make more money and be able to invest it so you can retire early. Another big mistake to avoid in your 30s and 40s, or really as soon as you have a family, is not having life insurance. I've had life insurance since I was about 22. This means that it is cheap every month. The longer you leave getting life insurance, the more it costs you on a monthly basis. As you get into your 30s and 40s, you really need to be thinking about life insurance and looking after your family should the worst happen. I know you think it will never happen to me, but as you get older and you start seeing close friends checking out too early, it could quite easily be you. So just make sure you have enough life insurance to make sure all your financial commitments are met should the worst happen. The next mistake I see a lot of people making in their 30s and 40s is cashing in investments when the market crashes. One of my favorite stock market quotes is, "It's not timing the market, it's time in the market." And if you are a regular viewer of this channel, you'll have heard me say this a lot. You can never effectively time the markets to make more gains than just keeping your cash in through ups and downs. Get your cash in the stock market and just ride the highs and lows until you need the cash when you retire. Put it into an investment portfolio and just forget about it. Pretend like the money doesn't exist anymore. Then just check on it every 5 years and you'll be amazed at the gains you'll make. The average stock market returns on the S&P 500, for example, is 9 to 10% every single year between 1926 and 2022. That's through all the global chaos which you've been through in your life. Imagine trying to time these peaks and troughs. Just sit back and earn 9 to 10% every year on average and watch your net worth increase with the power of compound interest. Before we continue, if you want to learn more about finance and investing and becoming financially free, then please hit the like button and subscribe. It really helps me to bring you more great content. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter and check out our blog too. There are links in the description below. Thanks. This leads us to another mistake you should avoid, and it's not thinking long-term with your money. You really need to think long-term with your money. Think of every pound or dollar you spend on some material thing as a pound or dollar that you cannot invest for your future. You need to get your money working for you. Imagine every dollar you make as a little soldier that you send off to earn more money for you in the stock market, bringing back more dollars over time. This will mean that you can earn money while you sleep, and the longer you do this, the earlier you will be financially free. Don't be a slave to money. Make money work for you, and you will be a lot happier. Another mistake to avoid in your 30s and 40s is buying a flashy car. Okay, I had to put this one in here. This is the one I have just rectified after not taking my own advice. I've always had nice cars, but last year I bought my dream car, a Porsche 911 convertible. I absolutely loved the car, but it was a large amount of cash that sat in the garage for most of the year, and I only did about 3,000 miles in it. So I decided to sell it. And luckily, as there is a worldwide shortage of luxury cars, I managed to sell it for more than I actually paid for it. I have now done the sensible thing and bought a Tesla through one of my businesses. This is massively tax efficient and means I have more disposable income to invest, and it's better for the planet, which is another bonus. My advice is to get all your finances and investments in order before buying a flashy car. Ideally, you only buy a really flashy car when something like share dividends or passive income are actually paying for it. Another mistake to avoid in your 30s and 40s is servicing high-interest debts. This is another mistake I see a lot of people making in middle age, servicing high-interest debt. I'm talking credit cards, store cards, and high-interest loans. You may be able to afford the repayments on the direct debts, but do you really need to buy something with high-interest borrowing? Do you really need to wear a pair of Gucci trainers if a pair of Adidas do the same thing? Don't get caught up in keeping up with the Joneses and overspending to the point where to keep up, you need to finance it with high-interest debt. Live within your means. The next mistake to avoid is upgrading your house when you don't need to. I had to put this one in as I have just had to rein myself in on this one. Myself and my wife started looking for a new house, but we didn't really need one. Having the mortgage nearly paid off on the one we were in means that we'll be mortgage-free soon, so we will have more disposable income to invest. So rather than upgrading the house to something a little bit bigger in a little bit better area for double the price, we decided unless we could pay fully in cash for the next house, we are staying put. We decided to spend some money renovating the house we're already in to give it a new lease of life and therefore save all the costs associated with moving and paying a bigger mortgage when we didn't need a bigger house. This is something you should consider too. Another midlife money mistake that you need to avoid is spending too much when going out. This one is easily done. As you start to get to middle age and you have a decent amount of disposable income, it's easy to start going out to more high-class restaurants and bars, and weekends away at more expensive hotels, etc. But all this extra money you're spending isn't necessary and means you have less money to invest. In your 30s and 40s, you really want to have very little cash on hand. Most of it needs to be invested. Obviously, you should keep aside an emergency fund of 6 months' living expenses, but anything above this, should be invested in working for you. I'm not saying never go out and do anything. I'm just saying don't start overspending on experiences when it isn't necessary. You don't need to be eating at Michelin star restaurants every month because you got a pay raise or have a bit more disposable income. Don't be a victim of lifestyle inflation. Live a modest life and invest the rest. Watch this video next to continue your financial education, and I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Thanks for watching.